All right, let's dive right into one of the absolute most fascinating paradoxes in modern business today. I mean, think about it for a second. At its core, Red Bull literally just sells an energy drink. But somehow, some way, this company has morphed into an absolute giant, a titan that completely dominates global sports and media. You've got this little silver and blue can sitting quietly on a grocery store shelf, but behind that can, there's a multi-billion-dollar operation that's literally dictating the pace of modern entertainment.
We are talking about Formula One, professional football, aviation, and digital media. They have this unbelievable high-octane footprint across some of the most insanely expensive and competitive industries on the planet. And this isn't just some beverage company with a fun side hustle, or a brand just paying to slap their logo on the side of a race car. No, they actually own and operate these things. They are out there building championship-winning F1 cars and managing top-tier football clubs. It's wild.
Which of course brings us to the central mystery of this explainer. How exactly did a simple energy drink build a global empire? Well, the answer, incredibly enough, isn't just about caffeine or sugar or some highly guarded secret recipe. It's actually about one of the most powerful, revolutionary marketing strategies ever executed. So let's break down exactly how they pulled this off. Section 1. A new kind of drink. The origins.
Okay, so back when Dietrich Mateschitz first pitched this totally unfamiliar energy drink to the world, it was a massive uphill battle. Think about it. Traditional soft drinks were spending all their billions just selling you on taste and refreshing Christmas. Red Bull quickly realized that going head-to-head on taste against a giant ice-cold cola was a totally losing battle. Especially because, well, early critics were literally saying it tasted like carbonated cough syrup. So they completely threw out the traditional playbook. Instead of a drink, they associated their brand with energy, excitement, and pure adventure. They weren't selling a beverage anymore, they were selling a high-performance lifestyle.
Moving on to Section 2. Owning the adrenaline. Escalation of excitement.
Once they locked into the idea that they were selling pure energy, a standard billboard or some boring TV commercial just wasn't going to cut it anymore. The marketing had to actually embody the physical jolt of the drink. Enter cliff diving, mountain biking, snowboarding, and these completely wild extreme sporting events. And here's the kicker. Rather than just buying ad space at these events, Red Bull embedded themselves right into the DNA of the culture. By actually sponsoring and creating these extreme events from scratch, Red Bull made their brand an inseparable part of a thrilling, adventurous lifestyle.
And if you trace this evolution over time, the shift in scale is just staggering. Right? In Phase 1, they're just out there pitching an unfamiliar drink. Fast forward to Phase 2, they're running niche extreme sports events. But then, bam, Phase 3, they start aggressively acquiring and owning major global sports properties. We're talking F1 teams, football clubs, and finally, Phase 4 takes them to literal new heights, pushing the boundaries with things like Red Bull Stratos.
So you might be wondering, why drop billions of dollars to actually own an F1 team or a football club? Well, it all comes down to one absolutely crucial concept: constant global exposure. By taking that massive leap from just sponsoring an athlete here and there to actually owning and operating heavy-hitting entities like Red Bull Racing, they guarantee themselves continuous, long-term visibility on the world stage. Every single weekend, millions of fans worldwide are tuning in to watch their teams compete, which permanently embeds the brand into their everyday lives.
Which brings us to Section 3, becoming the entertainment, the ultimate climax.
Eventually, they realized they could transcend traditional sports altogether to create massive media spectacles that the entire planet would stop to watch, basically creating one singular, global story. I'm talking, of course, about the legendary Red Bull Stratos project. You probably remember this: Felix Baumgartner taking a helium balloon to the literal edge of space and jumping, breaking the sound barrier in freefall. It was insane. Red Bull took what could have easily just been a one-off marketing stunt and turned it into a worldwide phenomenon. Millions tuned in live. They essentially created a story that people actively wanted to gather around and share.
But to consistently pull off things like Stratos, you need serious infrastructure. And that is where Red Bull Media House comes in. This is their dedicated arm, solely focused on investing in and producing super high-quality videos, documentaries, and digital content. This strategic pivot was huge because it meant they were no longer relying on traditional TV networks to tell their story for them. They were in the driver's seat, actively producing top-tier content themselves.
And it all boils down to this really profound shift in philosophy. Instead of interrupting entertainment, become the entertainment. I mean, think about how massive that is for a business. Instead of annoying you with the commercial while you're trying to watch your favorite show, Red Bull just produces the show you want to watch in the first place.
It's without a doubt their greatest marketing innovation. They built a brand entirely around the feeling of excitement, and they let the physical drink just be a symbol of that world.
Finally, let's look at Section 4, the business of attention, psychological power.
So, what exactly happens to a consumer's brain after years and years of consuming Red Bull's content? Watching F1 cars win championships, seeing guys jump from space with that logo strapped to their spacesuit? It forges unbelievably powerful brand associations: speed, adventure, ambition, extreme performance. Because of the psychological weight of this strategy, the second people see that iconic can or that red and yellow logo, their brains immediately trigger these adrenaline-fueled concepts. You're not just drinking a caffeinated beverage, you are literally taking a sip of extreme performance. That right there is the absolute genius of their brand identity.
But let's be completely real for a second. Building this kind of empire comes with exceptionally high costs and massive, massive risks. This wasn't some cheap gimmick or an overnight marketing trick. Running Formula One teams and sending people to the edge of the stratosphere requires immense financial capital and an unwavering long-term dedication to the strategy. Their success definitely can't be reduced to just a catchy slogan. It's the direct result of some serious, calculated investments over decades.
Which brings us to our final, big takeaway for this Xplainer. Red Bull didn't just try to sell more cans, they built an entire universe. At the end of the day, their real business is attention. They completely engineered a culture and a lifestyle around the simple, compelling idea of giving people wings. So the next time you're walking down the grocery aisle and you see that silver and blue can sitting on a shelf, ask yourself, are you just looking at a beverage, or are you looking at an absolute masterclass in modern storytelling?